Assalamu alaikum and good day to each and everyone. My name is Jasmine K. Pasigan, and together with my partner, today we will be discussing to you the case study 1, which is where did the first Catholic Mass take place in the Philippines? People often like to talk about the first happened in Philippine history, like the first Catholic Mass here in the Philippines, which can make things simpler than they really are. However, in this case study, the goal isn't to argue whether the place where the first Catholic Mass here in the Philippines was held is important or not. Instead, it will look at how historians use evidence and interpret events to understand what really happened during the past. So kung mapapansin ninyo, there is always room for conflicts and controversies in the study of history. It is primarily because, first, historians could be subjective. It might be the bias in their interpretations sa mga artifacts na kanilang nakikita or nakakalap. Second is that we have what we call multi-perspective in the study of history. So may kanya-kanyang perspective, may marami ang perspective ang mga historians in their interpretations sa pag-aaral ng ating history. So that is why meron talagang conflicts and controversies in our history. Tulad na lamang on where did the first Catholic Mass take place here in the Philippines. So ang case kasi dito is that Butuan has long been believed as the site of the first Catholic Mass here in the Philippines. In fact, this has been the case for 3 centuries. So 100 years yun, no? So with that belief, because of that belief, a monument was built there in 1872 near the Agusan River. But historians now think that this idea may have come from misunderstanding or overly simple reading of old documents written at the time. However, as time goes by, toward the end of 19th century and the beginning of the 20th century, along with the increasing scholarship on the study of history, our historians started to study our history more seriously, meaning more careful, detailed, and thoughtful ang reading na ginawa ng ating mga historians para mas maintindihan pa natin kung ano ba talaga ang nangyari during the past events. Now, as they look more closely at the old records, they started to question yung widely accepted belief about where did the Catholic Mass take place here in the Philippines. Now, their deeper research showed that there might be other or more accurate explanation than kung ano ba talaga yung pinapaniwalaan ng mga tao for a long time. So, it must be noted that there are only 2 primary sources. That one is the log kept by Francisco Albo, and the second and the more complete was the account by Antonio Pigafetta, which is the first voyage around the world. But before we proceed, kilalanin muna natin kung sino sina Francisco Albo at Antonio Pigafetta. So Francisco Albo was one of the pilot of Magellan's ship Trinidad. Isa rin siya sa mga 18 survivors who returned with Sebastian Elcano on the ship Victoria after they circumnavigated the world. On the other hand, si Antonio Pigafetta naman is member ng expedition ni Magellan. He is also the eyewitness of the events na nangyari during the Magellan's expedition, particularly yung first mass here in the Philippines. So now, before we proceed on discussing Albo's log and Pigafetta's account, let us know some fun facts about the first Catholic Mass here in the Philippines. First is that the first Catholic Mass here in the Philippines happened on March 31, 1521. It was presided by Father Pedro Valderrama, a friar, together with Magellan during their navigation. Second is that in 1988, the National Historical Institute, or now known as the National Historical Commission of the Philippines, declared that Limasawa was the place where the first Catholic Mass here in the Philippines happened. However, there were some claims that Butuan was also the place where the first Catholic Mass here in the Philippines take place. So now, without further ado, let us discuss Francisco Albo's log and Antonio Pigafetta's account for us to have better understanding on when and how does the first Catholic Mass here in the Philippines happen. as cited in Miguel A. Bernad, Butuan or Limawasa, the site of the first mass in the Philippines, a re-examination of evidence in 1981. According to Francisco Albo, on the 16th day of March in 1521, as they sailed in a westerly course from Ladrones, they saw a land towards the northwest. However, they did not approach it because of the many shallow places in there. And later on, they found out that the name of that land was Yunagan. So instead, the same day, they turned southward and reached a small island called Suluan. They saw some canoes in there, but it went away at the Spaniards' approach. So this island was at 9 degrees and 2/3 north latitude. So from that island, they sailed westward to another small uninhabited island called Gada to take some supply of wood and water. This island was safe or free from shallows. So Albo does not give the latitude of this island, but from Pigafetta's testimony, this seems to be the Aquada or the Homonhon, yung place or yung island kung saan unang dumaong si Magellan. This is at 10 degrees north latitude. So from that island, they went westward to a bigger island called Ceylani, which was inhabited and known for having gold. So Ceylani, or as Pigafetta calls it, Ceylon, ito na yung island ng Leyte. So sailing southward along the island of Ceylani, they turned southwest and reached another small island called Mazava. This island is at 9 2/3 degrees latitude north. So on Mazava, the people were very good, meaning yung mga people daw sa Mazava were very welcoming sa mga Spaniards. And also, the same island sa Mazava rin, the Spaniards planted a cross on the top of the mountain, where they were shown the 3 islands from in there sa west and the southwest, and sinabi sa kanila na meron daw mga gold sa island na yon, that which came in a pieces like peas and lentils. Ngayon naman, from Mazava, they sailed north and followed the coast of Ceylani. So as they passed by doon, nakakita sila ng 3 small islands as they move in a northwesterly direction. Now, continuing westward, they traveled in a westerly direction for about 10 leagues. And then, they saw there 3 islets. Pag sinabing islets, ito na yung small islands. And from there, dun sa islets na yon, they stayed there for overnight. Now, the next day, pagkaumagahan, they sailed southwest naman. And then, entered a channel between 2 islands, which was called Matan and Subu, or now known as Cebu. Ngayon naman, they sailed down the 2 channel between the island of Matan and Subu and turned westward. So, dumaong sila sa town ng Subu. And sa Cebu or Subu, nagstay sila doon for several days, traded goods, and nagkaroon ng peace agreement. Nagkaroon sila ng peace agreement doon sa local ruler doon. Ngayon, ang location ng town ng Cebu is nasa east-west direction of Suluan and Mazava. Now, the sea near Mazava and Suluan had many shallow places or areas na kung saan pwedeng ma-stuck yung barko ni Magellan. So instead of sailing straight pa west, they had to take a roundabout way, or they had to take a curved path or longer path para makapunta sila doon sa destination nila ng safely. So now, kung mapapansin ninyo doon sa paano sinalaysay ni Francisco Albo, yung kanilang circumnavigation, una, Albo did not mention about Limasawa or Butuan or yung Masaw in Butuan. However, based doon sa location and sa latitude ng mga lugar na minention niya, Albo's account would fit the location of Limasawa, which is in the southern tip of Leyte, and ang latitude niya is nasa 9 degree and 54 minutes north. Pangalawa is that Albo did not mention about the first mass, pero minention niya yung about sa pagplant nila ng cross on top of the hill, which is isa talaga sa mga nangyari Kasi nga, kung matatandaan ninyo sa first voyage around the world, nasabi doon na noong March 31, sa first mass, noong Easter Sunday, nag-plant sila ng cross on top of the hill. And kasama rin nila, during the first mass, kasama nila yung dalawang king na sina Raha Shagu and Raha Kalambo. Another thing is that yung location, kung saan sila nagplant ng cross on top of the hill, makikita doon yung tatlong islands na to the west and southwest noon, which also fits yung location ng southern end ng Limasawa. So, di ba nga, Francisco Albo was one of the pilot of Magellan's, or siya yung pilot nung ship ni Magellan na Trinidad. Masasabi talaga natin, if we base doon sa kanyang account, masasabi talaga natin na sa Limasawa nangyari ang First Catholic Mass here in the Philippines. Kasi nga, nandun siya doon sa circumnavigation ni Magellan around the world. Kasama siya doon. So, masasabi talaga natin na sa Limasawa nangyari yung First Catholic Mass here in the Philippines. So now, to further understand our discussion, let's take a look at Pigafetta's account para mas maintindihan natin kung paano nag-take place ang First Catholic Mass here in the Philippines and kung saan. So without further ado, let us discuss it. So as cited at Miguel A. Bernad book, Butuan or Limawasa, the site of the first mass in the Philippines, a re-examination of evidence, according to Pigafetta. So on Saturday, March 16 in 1521, they sighted a highland named Zamal, which was 300 leagues westward to Ladrones, or yung tinawag niyang Island of Thieves. The next day, Sunday, March 17, after they sight the Zamal Island, they landed on another island which was uninhabited, and this island lays to the right of the above-mentioned Zamal. So, to the right, meaning dito is that ang kanilang direction is going south or southwest. So, in that island, they set up a tent para sa sick members ng kanilang crew. And that island was called Humuno or Homonhon. So, if you can remember sa first reporting, sinabi doon na sa Homonhon Island, unang dumaong sina Magellan. And that island is located at 10 degrees north latitude. So, on that same day, March 17, Magellan named the entire archipelago as Island of St. Lazarus. So the reason behind that is because it was Sunday in the Lenten season when the Gospel assigned for the Mass and the liturgical office was the 11th chapter of St. John, which tells of the raising of Lazarus from the dead. So on Monday, March 18, in the afternoon, sa second day nila doon, they saw a boat coming towards them with a 9 men on it. Nagkaroon sila ng exchange of gifts, and also Magellan asked them for supplies of food, and the men went away and promised them to bring rice and other supplies in 4 days. So now, ang island of Homonhon is mayroong 2 springs of water. Also, they saw there some indications na mayroong gold doon sa island. That is why Magellan renamed the island and called it Watering Place of Good Omen. So now, after 4 days, on March 22, nung Friday, the natives returned. Yung after 4 days, nakabalik na yung mga natives. And now, they were in 2 boats and meron silang mga dalang food supplies. So, Magellan's expedition in Homonhon lasted for 8 days, from March 17 hanggang March 25, noong Monday. So, for us to know what will happen next in Magellan's expedition based on Pigafetta's testimony, let us all hear it from my partner, Apra K. Manabilang. She will be the one to present to you what will happen next in Magellan's expedition.
Good day everyone, this is Apra Manabilang, partner of Jasmine Pasigan, and this is the continuation of Primary Source Pigafetta's testimony on the route of Magellan's expedition. On March 25, Magellan's expedition left the island of Homanhon. So this day, or yung araw na yon is special sa church calendar kasi it was the Feast of the Annunciation, or also called the Ladies' Day. So in the same day, Pigafetta is na-accident, which is nahulog siya sa water or sa bangin, pero na-rescue din agad. So Pigafetta believed na yung pagligtas sa kanya is because of Blessed Virgin Mary, kasi nga it was her feast day. So after leaving Homonhon, they sailed toward west, southeast, and nadaanan ang 4 islands na pinangalanan ni Pigafetta na Senalo, Hunaghan, Ibuson, and Albarine. Pero some of the names na nabanggit is misspelling siya or mali yung spelling sa notes ni Pigafetta. So one of the misspellings is yung Senalo, which means Leyte, pero sa notes ni Pigafetta is Senalo. Then second is Hunaghan, and sa notes ni Pigafetta, spelling niya is Hunaghan, pero ang totoong spelling is Hinunangan. So sa notes ni Pigafetta, ito raw isang separate island, pero ang totoo, isa rin itong part ng Leyte mainland. So other is Ibuson sa notes ni Pigafetta, and the true spelling is Hibuson. So ito ay isang small island sa east of southern Leyte. So basically, nag-travel lang sila or naglakbay lang sila sailing around Leyte and nearby islands ng Leyte. The testimony ni Pigafetta, which is March 28, and it was a Holy Thursday. So, yung expedition is tumigil sa isang island where they have seen a fire the night before. So, itong island is tinatawag na Mazawa. So, Pigafetta dinescribe na yung location using latitude and longitude sa kanyang notes. So, the latitude and longitude is yung island daw, it lies in a latitude of 9 2/3 toward the Arctic Pole, and in a longitude of 162 degrees from the line of demarcation. So after that, on number 11, sabi ni Pigafetta, they stayed on Mazawa Island for 7 days, which is madidiscuss ko din mamaya after nitong testimony ni Pigafetta. So sa number 12, April 4, dito na sila umalis sa Mazawa and nagtungo naman sa Cebu. So yung King of Mazawa is nag-offer na i-guide sila papuntang Cebu gamit ang sarili niyang bangka. So on the way, sa kanilang daanan nila yung 5 islands, which is the Ceylon, Bohol, Canighan, Baybay, and Katighan. So sa number 13, sa Katighan, they sailed west toward the Camotes Islands, which is the Poro, Pasihan, and Panson. So yung bangka ng Spanish or yung bangka nila Magellan is parang kailangan pa nilang mag-stop or magpabagal ng takbo kasi naiiwan nila yung boat na gamit nung King of Mazawa. So dahil doon, gi-admire nung King of Mazawa yung ships nung mga Spanish or nila Magellan sa ang kinitong bilis. So, sa number 14, after nila sa Camotes Islands, nagtungo naman sila sa southward patungo sa Cebu. So, on number 15, April 7 and Sunday siya. So, by noon, they finally reached the Cebu or the harbor of Cebu, which is tinawag ni Pigafetta sa kanyang notes na Zobo. So, yung sa true spelling is Cebu and sa notes ni Pigafetta is Zobo. So, yung journey nila Pigafetta sa Mazawa to Cebu is tinagal niya is 3 days since first na tinungo nila is northwards to the Camotes Island and then southwards naman to Cebu. So from Homonhon to Leyte to Mazawa to Camotes and then finally Cebu, the Spaniards passed through many islands that are still popular today. Did you know that Pigafetta almost became the first to die in the Philippines na hindi dahil sa war pero dahil sa pagkalunod? Pero luckily naman, he was saved as I mentioned earlier. We'll continue on primary source Pigafetta and 7 days in Mazawa. So after ilang days sa dagat, Magellan, finally, tumigil naman sila sa island na tinatawag na Mazawa, diba? So, yung mga locals doon is gi-welcome nila sila Magellan and sila Pigafetta warmly, especially yung king ng Mazawa. So, Pigafetta, na-notice niya yung island na it was fertile and rich in food supplies like rice, pigs, goats, and wine na ginawa sa palm trees. So, yung mga Spaniards, nag-exchange gifts sila sa king ng Mazawa as a sign of friendship. So, that was the whole happening sa kanilang day 1. Yung king of Mazawa is in-invite niya sila Magellan and yung mga tao ni Magellan sa isang feast or parang party. So, si Pigafetta, dinescribe na yung mga kinain nila which is yung rice, meat, fish, and yung palm wine. So, gi-observe niya din yung mga costumes and clothing and kahit yung pagkain nila na gamit yung kamay. So, na-build nila yung stronger friendship or trust through sharing food and stories. So, ito yung mga naganap sa day 2. Day 3, gi-explore naman nila yung island of Mazawa. Ito yung sila Pigafetta and some crew members ng ships na gi-explore yung Mazawa. So, Pigafetta, ginote niya yung beauty of the island from fruit trees, coconut palms, and abundant fish. So, they learn more about sa mga pamumuhay ng mga tao doon which is farming and trading. It was Holy Week, March 15, 21. So, yung mga tao ni Magellan is ki-practice nila yung Christian faith nila. So, they prayed and prepared for Easter Sunday. So, yung King of Masawa, gi-observe niya yung pag-practice nila with interest. So, dahil dito, parang nagbigay daan sila for Christianity sa Philippines. So, on day 5, dito na parang naging closer yung King of Masawa kani Magellan, and yung King of Masawa, he even sailed with Magellan around the island. So, pinag-usapan nila habang nagsasail sila or parang naglilibot sila sa island, pinag-uusapan nila yung trade, politics, and neighboring rulers. So, sinabi ni Pigafetta na yung king is nire-respect niya si Magellan and tinatrato niya na parang tunay niya ng kapatid. So, yung nabuong tiwala dito is important para kay Magellan para sa mga susunod niyang balak, especially sa Cebu. On day 6, ito na yung Easter Sunday Mass, March 31, 1521. So, ito na yung pinaka-importanting araw na naganap sa 7 days nila Pigafetta sa Masawa. So, yung mga tauhan ni Magellan, nag-held sila ng First Catholic Mass sa Philippine soil, officiated by Padre Pedro de Valderrama. So, yung King of Mawa kasama yung mga people niya is nag-attend din sila sa mass, and it was actually their first time. So after the service, nagplant sila ng large wooden cross on a hill overlooking the sea. So yung mass na yun, nagsisimbolize siya ng pagsisimula ng Christianity sa Pilipinas. Day 7, finally, after a week of friendship, feasting, and worship, nag-decide si Magellan na magtungo na sa Cebu, na ginaid naman sila ng King of Masawa. So, yung King of Masawa, he even provided pilots and directions sa kanilang journey papuntang Cebu. So, Pigafetta recorded yung i-record niya yung gratitude nila or pasasalamat nila sa kabutihan na binigay sa kanila ng mga tao sa Masawa. So, yung Masawa, parang isang stepping stone siya for Magellan's historic arrival in Cebu, and later he encounters in Mactan. Before we proceed to the last topic, let me give you last trivia about the discussed topic. So, the trivia is, did you know where exactly is Masawa? So, napapaisip din ba kayo, saan nga ba talagang parte ng Pilipinas ang Masawa? So, many historians nag-debate sila whether yung Masawa is in Limawasa, Southern Leyte, or in Butuan here sa Mindanao. So, many scholars nag-agree sila na yung Masawa is in Limawasa because dito ginanap yung first mass na ginaganap every March 31. Pero yung Butuan, ginaklaim din nila na yung first mass na naganap is sa kanila. So, parang ito yung one of the longest debates na nangyari sa Pilipinas. The age of exploration is a period of competition among European rulers to conquer and colonize lands outside their original domains. Initially, the goal was to find alternative routes by sea to get to Asia, the main source of spices and other commodities. Existing routes to Asia were mainly by land and cost very expensive. A sea route to Asia means that Europeans could access the spice trade directly, greatly reducing costs for traders. Spain's major foray into the exploration was through Christopher Columbus, who proposed to sail westward to find a shortcut to Asia. He was able to reach the Americas, which was then cut off from the rest of the known world. Spain colonized parts of North America, Mexico, and South America in the 16th century. They were also able to reach the Philippines. The topic is Age of Exploration. So in a simple explanation, ang Age of Exploration is ito yung time na yung mga European countries is nagko-kompetensya para makadiscover and mag-take control ng mga new lands na outside na sa kanilang own territories. So sa una, ang goal lang nila is ang mahanap ang daan papuntang Asia, kasi yung Asia is isa siyang source ng mga valuable spices and other goods. So sinasabi nila na traveling by land daw is masyadong matagal and masyadong expensive. So, naisip nila na mag-travel na lang by sea para yung trade nila is more cheaper and faster. So, sa time na to, yung Spain ang parang active masyado sa exploration. So, one of the famous explorer is Christopher Columbus, which is nag-suggest na mag-travel daw sila o mag-sail daw sila west across the Atlantic Ocean para ma-reach ang Asia. Pero instead na ma-reach nila yung Asia, or instead na ma-discover nila yung Asia, ang nahanap nila is Americas, which is not yet connected to the known world at that time. So later on, marami silang na-take control ng mga new lands or new areas, which is the parts of North America, Mexico, South America, and even ang Philippines during the 15th or 16th century. That's all, everyone. I hope you understand something, and thank you for listening in our future presentation.